She got away once. She can't escape. This is going to go so well. I mean, we're going to melt down. And what's crazy about this is she had Angel Reese's back. And I can't help.
What happens when a teammate gets cut and you respond with a cryptic post that sets the internet on fire? That's exactly what Angel Reese did after Chennedy Carter's release, and fans are convinced it wasn't just a coincidence. But what started as subtle shade quickly spiraled into locker room chaos, player betrayals, and a franchise that's now fighting for its future. Let's break it all down. They say drama stays off the court, but in Chicago, it never left the locker room. Behind the smiles and highlight reels, the Chicago Sky has quietly become one of the most dysfunctional teams in the WNBA. And it all started with whispers. Whispers that grew into chaos. Angel Reese and Chennedy Carter didn't just stir the pot, they shattered it. But this wasn't about missed shots or tough losses. It was about something deeper: power, ego, and favoritism. Insiders claim Reese walked into the locker room acting more like a brand than a teammate. Cameras followed her, the spotlight never left, and some say the coaching staff fed right into it. Players reportedly started feeling like background extras in the Angel Reese show, and they weren't quiet about it.
Let's chat. Drop the WNBA teams you would like to see me sign with next year. Y'all be coaches and GMs anyway. Let's see what you think. I mean, wow. I mean, honestly.
But what really tore the locker room apart? It wasn't just the stardom. It was the alleged special treatment. Former coach Teresa Weatherspoon was accused of tailoring game plans around Reese's stat line, ignoring the flow of the game and the chemistry of the team. And that kind of favoritism? It spreads like wildfire. Players didn't just feel left out, they felt used. And when Chennedy Carter spoke up, she was tossed out like yesterday's headline. No press conference, no thank you, no closure. She had just dropped nearly 18 points a game, that's starter-level production on any team. But in Chicago? One cryptic tweet later, she was gone. And Reese? She followed up with a shady post of her own, cold, calculated, and clearly timed. But that was just a piece of the pie. Because what exploded on social media had been boiling for months. Players were allegedly going to management, complaining about the toxicity in the locker room. Some called Carter too intense, but others said she was the only one brave enough to call out what was really going on, a culture built around image over integrity. And if you think this is just gossip, think again. Former Sky players like Marina Mabrey left and then blasted the culture of her old team by praising the professionalism of her new one. That wasn't subtle. That was a warning. Like stories where the drama off the court is bigger than the game? Hit that subscribe button. This WNBA chaos is just getting started. The truth? Chicago has been bleeding leadership for seasons now. Star players leave, chemistry collapses, and now, even fans are asking, who would want to play here? The Sky isn't just losing games, it's losing trust. And that could cost them everything.
But as far as that, there's a lot of just narratives being spent, and from my standpoint, I had a great time, and this was one of the best seasons that I ever had in my career.
And what happened next would shock everyone. Because while Reese continues building her media presence and playing into the chaos, she hasn't silenced the critics. Her on-court numbers? Questionable. Her field goal percentage on layups? Worst in the league for her size. And Carter didn't hesitate to call that out, publicly. She dropped a savage line online about making layups regularly and let the stats do the rest of the talking. The message was clear. This wasn't about competition anymore, it was personal. And Carter, despite the backlash, may have been the only one saying what others were too scared to say. But that leaves one final question. Is Angel Reese building a legacy, or just building drama?
Angel Reese. Now, you may be like, well, what's the big deal there?
Because unless something changes inside that locker room, this team won't be known for basketball. It'll be known for being the cautionary tale of what happens when hype overshadows harmony. How does someone drop nearly 18 points a game and still get kicked to the curb? That's what everyone was asking when Chennedy Carter, one of Chicago's most electric scorers, was left without a contract. No press release. No farewell message. Just silence. After clawing her way back into the league and proving she could still dominate, the sky showed her the door like none of it ever mattered. But the truth? This wasn't just about stats. It was about stability. Or lack of it. Carter's resume looks like a highlight reel, but her reputation tells another story. From the moment she entered the WNBA, whispers followed her. Drama in Atlanta. Tension in LA suspended for behavior detrimental to the team. That phrase alone has followed her like a shadow. Chicago was supposed to be her clean slate. And at first, it looked like she finally found her rhythm. The scoring was sharp, the fans were hype, but behind the scenes, it was chaos. Multiple sources say she clashed with teammates. Some even called her toxic. Not just outspoken, disruptive. Players reportedly went to management. And instead of fixing it, the Sky shut it down the fastest way they could, by cutting her loose. But that wasn't the whole story.
She got away once. She can't escape. This is going to go so well. I mean,
Because Carter didn't leave quietly. She doubled down, posting cryptic messages, calling out teammates, and fueling rumors that she was never really part of the team to begin with. One post hinted that not everyone deserves your loyalty. Another mocked layup percentages, a not-so-subtle jab at Angel Reese. And just like that, she turned a professional fallout into a personal war.
I feel like, the way things went on Twitter, it shouldn't have went like that. When people kind of wear a shoe, that means you believe that. I specifically was speaking to me. I'm a valuable player.
Her defenders say she was just being real. But let's be honest, real doesn't always mean right. When your history includes locker room drama on 3 different teams, maybe the common denominator isn't the team. Maybe it's you. And what happened next would send shockwaves through the league. Because the WNBA noticed. No team picked her up. Not a single front office took the risk. Despite the numbers, despite the potential, Carter became a cautionary tale. A player who let the drama drown out the talent. A name now more associated with conflict than contribution. And here's the kicker. Even if she finds her way back, the narrative is already built. She's not being seen as a star, they're calling her a liability. And unless something changes, her comeback story might have just written its own tragic ending. One post. A single sentence. That's all it took to light up the WNBA like wildfire. Some things don't even need to be explained. That's what she wrote. No names. No context. But everyone knew exactly who she was talking about. Because the timing wasn't random. It was surgical. Hours after Carter was released, Reese posted her little gem like a victory lap. Fans didn't even have to guess, they knew. And in seconds, social media exploded with theories. Was Reese celebrating Carter's downfall? Throwing shade? Acting like she had something to do with it? But of course that wasn't all. Because this wasn't her first time playing that game. Reese has built her entire image on subtle digs and smug superiority. It's not just about basketball, it's about control. The message wasn't just aimed at Carter. It was a reminder to everyone, I run this narrative. And here's where it gets messy. While the media eats up her every move, her teammates? Not so much. People inside the locker room started seeing it differently. What looked like confidence from the outside started feeling like ego on the inside. The vibe shifted. Suddenly, it wasn't just Carter versus Reese. It was Reese versus everyone who wasn't willing to bow down. The worst part? Her numbers didn't even back it up. While she was online throwing shade, her performance on the court told a different story: bottom-tier field goal percentage on layups, missed assignments, sloppy defense. But she still got the spotlight. Still got the plays. And that rubbed people the wrong way. And what happened next would shock everyone. Because Reese didn't stop there. She doubled down. Liked tweets that mocked Carter. Reposted fan edits that shaded her former teammate. And stayed silent when fans went too far, letting the drama fester just long enough to trend. This wasn't leadership. This was picking battles online instead of showing up on the hardwood. And when your team's in turmoil, that's the last thing they need. Now the question is simple. Is Angel Reese really a rising star, or just riding the wave of controversy? Because if this is how she handles tension, cryptic posts, shady behavior, and passive-aggressive digs, then maybe the real issue in Chicago wasn't Carter at all. If Angel thought her cryptic post would go unanswered, she was dead wrong. Because just when the spotlight started to fade, Chennedy Carter came back swinging. And she didn't just clap back, she dropped a bomb. In one short post, she exposed what no one else had dared to say out loud. I believe that being able to make layups on a regular basis elevates everyone to a higher level. That was it. That's all she posted. But that sentence hit harder than any crossover on the court. Because everyone knew who she meant. No need for names. No hashtags. Just cold, calculated shade aimed directly at Angel Reese's weakest stat, her shockingly low layup percentage. Let's break it down. Reese, despite all the media hype, has one of the worst finishing rates at the rim for a player her size in the entire WNBA. We're talking wide open layups, missed. Routine drives to the basket, blown. She's shooting under 43% near the rim, which, for a power forward, is flat out embarrassing. Because Carter didn't just point it out, she exposed a bigger issue. While the league, the fans, and the cameras kept pumping up Reese as the face of the future, her actual gameplay was falling apart. And Carter, who had already been pushed out, had nothing left to lose. She knew this wasn't about basketball anymore, it was about calling out fake hype. And it didn't stop there. Carter followed up with another post, "Not everyone deserves your loyalty." That wasn't just shade. That was a statement. About the team. About the culture. And most of all, about the fake friendships in that locker room. The fans went wild. Some praised Carter for keeping it real. Others called it petty. But one thing was clear, she hit a nerve. Because Reese didn't respond. Not a word. Just silence. And when your whole brand is built on being bold and unbothered, that silence said everything. And what happened next would only add fuel to the fire. Because this feud wasn't just personal, it was public. Carter's comments started getting more traction than the Sky's actual games. People weren't talking about box scores, they were talking about exposure. About whether Reese was built for the moment, or just propped up by marketing and favoritism. In one tweet, Carter flipped the script. From cast out to truth teller. From problem player to someone finally saying what others were too scared to admit. And the damage? Already done. If you think this was just player drama, think again, this went straight to the top. Insider reports didn't just point fingers at the players. They aimed directly at head coach Teresa Weatherspoon. Word around the league? She was allegedly designing plays not to win games, but to pad Angel Reese's stats. Let that sink in. A head coach, more concerned with boosting one player's numbers than building team chemistry. And it showed. Multiple players reportedly felt like pawns in a one-player system. Not teammates, just background noise for Reese's highlight reel. It wasn't about ball movement or matchups. It was about funneling the offense through Reese, even when her efficiency was tanking. And the locker room? Boiling. Teammates started noticing that Reese could miss wide-open layups, turn the ball over, and still get the same minutes. Still get the same praise. Meanwhile, others were benched or ignored entirely. But that wasn't the whole story. Because players weren't just annoyed, they were fed up. Some allegedly approached management to complain about the imbalance. They believed Weatherspoon was protecting Reese, building her image instead of holding her accountable. And when that kind of favoritism becomes obvious, it tears a team apart from the inside out. And let's be honest, this wasn't just about basketball. This was about branding. About making sure the face of the team stayed in front of cameras, no matter what was happening on the scoreboard. And if that meant sacrificing team success to keep Reese in the spotlight, that's exactly what was happening. And what happened next would blow the lid off everything. Because the rumors didn't stay rumors. Former players started speaking out, not directly, but just loud enough to be heard. Marina Mabrey, now with the Connecticut Sun, made it clear in interviews that her new team had structure, professionalism, and unity. Subtle? Maybe. But everyone knew who she was talking about. The message was clear: Chicago was broken, and it wasn't just because of the players. And here's where it gets even worse. Because if you're a rising star, a proven vet, or a free agent looking for a serious run, why on earth would you want to walk into that kind of mess? A locker room built on favoritism, a coach playing favorites, and a team imploding from within? At this point, the problem isn't just Angel Reese. It's the entire system enabling her. Will Reese level up, or keep playing pretend? And will Carter rise, while the sky continues to fall? One thing's for sure, this story isn't over. But someone's career might be if they don't change course soon. If you're ready for more unfiltered breakdowns, behind-the-scenes chaos, and the truth the league won't say out loud, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. You don't want to miss what's coming next.